We're live.
Good evening. It is Thursday, May the 2nd, 2019, and welcome back to your Mr. Video Game Live Super Show Podcast Show Live Show, brought to you by Dead Sun Entertainment. Yeah! Of course, today she's rendered in 4K high quality, ladies. It's Joan again, Lady Goggles.
Give me $2 million and you can see my bobs.
Word. All right, it's a lot of dollars. For a lot of Ks, though, let's be honest. But he is on fire! And no, seriously, somebody should probably look into that and probably put him out. It's Brian A.K. Wonder Boy!
I cannot get. There are two songs that are stuck in my head for the past 3 days, and they're both really, really good, but they're also diametrically opposed to one another, and I just can't help but now match them up in my head. If someone out there with better editing skills than I could give me a mashup of Simple and Clean and Old Town Road, I would be greatly appreciative. I need that in my fucking veins.
It's an interesting combination.
Simple and clean is the way that you. Never mind. Okay. Don't you fucking judge me. It's better than that Skrillex song.
It's better than Sonic the Hedgehog.
So, Brian.
God, not everything is better than Sonic. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
We'll get to that.
Everything is better than fucking Sonic. Oh, just go look at my tweet announcing the show broadcast, and you'll know how some of my feelings on that thing. Anyway. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
You're giving me some blue hedgehog, baby.
We'll get to that. Let's say we might have a reason to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. Brian, how you been? What are you playing? What are you up to?
So, this week I have been basically just diving back into more Sekiro. I was all set before we had our issues last week with our broadcast. So, by the way, apologize about that. Extenuating circumstances. I was all set to jump into a nice little chunk of Shinobi talk after watching Lady Goggles here go through her Heck Week and tuning into that last day with the Sekiro stream and seeing that you were actually gravitating to it very well, and you seem to be enjoying yourself. So I was really curious to get your thoughts on it, and then talk about how I finally beat Lady Butterfly and got to new bosses. Thank fucking God.
Well, I haven't gotten that far. I'm stuck on the chained ogre at the moment, but it was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. When I switched over from Dark Souls to Dark Souls 3, I had a much better time with it, even though it was more aggravating because of the fluidity of the controls, and that remained in Sekiro. So when I went to Sekiro, the fact that I could jump without some convoluted go forward, hit trigger, and all that was an immediate plus. The stealth mechanics and being able to hide and to hang and to eavesdrop are really nice, because sometimes I just wanted to avoid fights. I didn't want to go around them or go through them. It just felt more engaging than the previous two titles, Dark Souls 1 in particular. And I was really having a little bit of fun with it. Even the times where I was dying, I was constantly learning, okay, this technique didn't work, how about this, or if I dodge more, yada yada yada. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than I thought I would. Will I play it again on stream? I don't know, but when I have some free time and I'm not replaying some other stuff, which I'll talk about in a second, I might go back to it. It really was very enjoyable. I liked what I played from it.
Let's actually go to you. Joan, why don't you tell us about what you've been playing?
Sure, what the heck, why not? I had yours up here, so I'll go over mine. I've been replaying House Flipper. The, Garden Flipper DLC comes out in the next 2 weeks, I think. I think it's May 16th, don't hold me to that date. And it's basically like, this is home and garden television without the copyright, like it's if you're into the whole house flipping thing or home renovation and all this stuff, it's basically a game where you can do so at your own leisure, at your own pace. You start off with like, a small amount of money, and you take on jobs to earn more, and eventually you can buy homes and then flip them, etc., etc. As you can see in this instance, we got a house that was like a fucking murder scene, and we have to try to to clean it up and flip it. It's a really engaging game if you're into this sort of thing. Like if you like simulations and you like the concept of house flipping and you don't want to spend your own real TM money on it, then it's a fun little diversion for a bit. And now they're adding landscaping and gardening, like I said, in a couple of weeks with that DLC. So it's fun. I tend to get a lot of really good engagement when I stream it. People like watching me flip houses and scream when I see roaches. So it's people, like I said, they seem to get a kick out of that. It's fun. It's just a really fun, doofy game. Like you can just put on a podcast or whatever, chill out music or whatever. Listen to that while you're flipping houses and picking out paint and wallpaper and knocking down walls and all sorts of shit. Like it's just a really fun, chill time. Which after Heck Week, I kind of needed, to be honest. Prior to this, I did Heck Week, which is playing through each day of the week of my stream. I only stream 3 days a week right now. I was playing Dark Souls, and then Dark Souls 3, and then Sekiro, and I don't normally play Souls types games, so it was very challenging. I just needed a chill game just to relax and take a break from. But yeah, overall, if you're, like I said, if you're into simulations, if you're into renovations, if you are a white woman in her 30s who likes watching HGTV, give this game a shot. It's a lot of fun. And then with the gardening flipper coming out, there's a lot more being added to it. So yeah, that's about it.
Right on. You got a little bit of a chance to mess around with the Switch release of Cuphead. And I gotta tell you, it's Cuphead. I think if you've played Cuphead, you probably know what Cuphead is. There's a few little differences, is my understanding, and I'm not good enough at the game yet to get to those. There's some changes in some of the bosses. It's not like new bosses, from my understanding. I haven't gotten that far yet, but like if you ignore one part, you may get a different section for a boss, things along those lines. Little things to make it a little bit more interesting and different on your replay. So if you've had this already, it's probably worth getting, especially if you're a fan of the Switch like myself. I will say for the more challenging sections, holding it in front of you like a portable game system, what does? Don't really know if I recommend that because man, you need them quick reflexes on, especially Island 3, and you don't really get that as much playing it in handheld mode. But hey, that's what the Pro controller's for, so I'd probably recommend that more as well. You can play as what is Cuphead's buddy?
Mugman.
Mugman.
You can play as Blue Luigi.
Heck yeah. There's literally no difference. It's cosmetic, but he's a good boy. Give him a go. He's fun.
Are you able to play as Miss Chalice yet?
I don't believe so. I think I've heard she's coming as DLC. Now, I may be wrong, so, at me if I am a lying liar. But hey, that's how it goes. Oh, hey, there's Brian.
Oh, okay, cool. I was making sure. It's like I couldn't tell if we're having some audio issues over here or anything.
No, you sound good on my end, friend.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
You weren't, but no, you are. Yeah, I strongly recommend getting Cuphead. It's like, what, a $20 game, and there's a lot of replayability in it, and especially, man, if you are a average gamer like myself and not the greatest who's ever played a video game, you're gonna get a lot of time out of it because you're gonna be fighting these bosses again and again and again.
Unless you're the Mexican runner, in which case you could just beat it in an hour.
God damn that dude. That dude is a saint and a fucking like insane person.
Mm. God bless the Mexican runner. But do we want to get into actual stories today?
Why the hell not?
Mm.
We've got a fair bit to cover. Uh,
Absolutely.
First, I guess what we're calling the epic corner.
It is relatively epic.
Well,
I mean,
that's not quite
in
a phrase I'd
name,
use, but
yeah, in name only.
We're starting off with some ugly things coming out of Epic, and we're not really going to be able to get into the full nitty gritty on this, but through Polygon and Colin Campbell, there's definitely been some accusations raised at Epic about really bad crunch time. We're talking 70-hour weeks, some people topping up to 100-hour
nice,
work weeks.
nice, real nice. And we've spoken at length. I think all of us, especially on this podcast, have spoken at length about the issues of crunch and how detrimental it is, not just to the games but to the people making the games. And the fact that more and more people are coming out and saying, you know, my company's doing this too, and it's pretty horrific stuff. There is no reason you should be working 100-hour weeks for no matter what the situation is, and it's pretty grueling physically, it's grueling emotionally, mentally, and it's not worth it no matter how much money Fortnite makes or made, I guess, you know. But it's pretty fucked up stuff, to put it mildly.
Yeah, and we're talking content patches every week to this game. This is a constantly revolving cycle of stuff that's coming in. That's difficult for anybody to keep up with, especially a huge team like what Epic has. So crunch has to happen at that scale.
I mean, does it? Does it really have to happen at that scale? Because it really seems like, and I will be full transparent here. Like some of the points that I'm going to make right now are points that were made previously on other podcasts within the gaming sphere here, but um, we need to look at the so-called like inevitability of crunch as not just a exploitation issue, but also a mismanagement issue. Because I'm sorry, but a lot of the issues that are going on at Epic, as related to Fortnite in the ramping up of their QA, their patching, their all this other bullshit that's going on there, like a lot of that has to come down to severe mismanagement on the part of the higher ups. Because like, when you have a team that large and you have a cash cow that profitable, there's no reason why you can't figure out ways to actively train the people that you bring in to beef up your QA side, to beef up your customer service side. Like we're talking about like upwards of hundreds of people just being tossed into the mix with no actual training on what to do, causing even more of a headache whenever we're talking about responding to customer service tickets here. We're talking about QA people who, because of the let's say shitty way that their workload was delegated and like just mishandled, that they're having to work these long hours, and then that like working these long hours is actively contributing to whether or not they are going to receive a new contract end of their current contract.
No, you're right.
These
This is
like 70 to 100 hour days.
Yeah.
This is entirely a management based issue because they want to keep pushing out content in this, and it's not just if we're talking small content. Oh, we added a little bit of gun, but they're adding huge amounts of content, completely changing things that exist in the game, making some of the parts of the game move and interact entirely differently on a weekly basis. that is
on a daily
almost
basis.
impossible to sustain. Yeah, in some of these cases, it's fucking daily. For especially with these new rune things they've been working on in the current patches.
Yeah, I think one of the main pieces out of Colin's piece here that stood out to me was one dev talking about how, if something breaks in a gun, or like a gun is broken, like every other game that as a service that is out there will just turn that gun off,
Mhm.
and then in their weekly patch they'll fix it. They'll either nerf it, they'll buff it, they'll do what they need to do to it. Not Epic.
Mhm.
They're forcing people to actively modify, like micromanage modifications on weapons and small little details within code while they're working on the weekly patch,
Mhm.
while they're working on like daily patches at some points. So they're actively increasing the workload because they think that if they don't make changes as soon as they pop up, they are going to lose their fan base like that. And that speaks to another issue with Epic management. You cannot, like, you have to understand that you, as the developer, as the publisher, you dictate the rate of content released, the rate of patches. You dictate whenever that stuff comes out, not your customer base.
Right.
And the fact that they have like basically empowered a large swath of the gaming community to actively complain about stuff not getting patched as soon as it breaks, they are creating a problem that is going to spread industry wide in some cases as people keep moving towards this model. Granted, it's going to be to varying levels based on success. I mean, hardly anybody's going to reach the success that Fortnite has right now. I mean, they're talking about $3 billion in profit off of this game. So, but the fact that they are letting the fan base dictate their content schedule, that is a massive problem, a huge problem that they, as a company, need to get out in front of. And whether it's going to piss off the people that play Fortnite, like whether it's going to push some people off of Fortnite for a little while, like they have to do something to change this, unless they are just perfectly fine with being the company that hands out giant bonuses while breaking the spirits of their workers.
Yeah, in their response to this, that they told Polygon later is it doesn't. People are working very hard on Fortnite and other Epic efforts. Extreme situations such as 100-hour work weeks are incredibly rare. And in those instances, we seek to immediately remedy them to avoid recurrence. Do you? Do you really? Because none of it sounds like you do.
No, that just sounds like corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
That's all. That's spokesman crap.
Yeah, they may believe that, oh, yeah, we're doing things to handle it. I heard that Jim down there, he worked 100 hours last week, so we gave him Friday off. Yeah, maybe, but how many times do you think people are working 60, 70 hours in their week and they're not complaining because they don't really want to, tilt the boat or anything? So they're
Right.
just doing it out of, hey, uh, this won't go on forever, right? We just hired new people and they're going to learn and then we're going to make things better.
And that leads into something else that I think we've talked about too, but it's worth reiterating. These companies, these developers, these publishers are using people's enthusiasm for being part of the video game industry to keep them doing stuff like this, because this person might be like, look, I'm working 90, 100 hours. Like, I need to see my family. I need to have some time off. And they're like, all right, then go and don't come back expecting a job because there's about 20,000 other people who are qualified for your position. So, like, and it's really insidious that they're hanging that over their head like, you want to be part of this industry? This is what's expected. When in reality, there is no viable reason for any of this.
No.
Oh,
no.
absolutely.
And another thing. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off there.
Go ahead.
So the one last thing before I step off of my soapbox, at least with Epic, because this is going to be a soapbox show for me. I can already tell. So the one last thing I will point to with this is another point in the report, basically saying that a lot of the people that are super gung ho to work these hours are entry level people, are like people fresh out of out of college, or people that are new to the industry, and this is one of their first jobs. They're super excited to get to work Epic, and collect those giant bonuses that I was talking about. And they are perfectly fine like throwing in 100 hours a week in order to, like, I guess, quote, endear themselves to management that works nowhere near the same amount of hours that they do on a weekly basis. And I think that we have to really start looking towards educating entry level workers and new workers that go into these fields. Like, look, you can't, you cannot sacrifice or kowtow to what basically equals exploitative practices, even when you don't recognize it as exploitative. Like, you are feeding a machine that is going to inevitably hurt you, whether you think it is or not.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first started working, I was just happy to have a job at that point because, man, I had been putting in my application at so many places and just, yeah, give me a job. And I had to be told, like, hey, take your lunch break. You don't need to do that. And that's something we're just not telling our people going out there, like, hey, your sanity has a bit more value than you're putting on it too. Don't just go out there and work. And luckily I had employers that were like, hey, take your take your breaks, idiot.
Yeah.
uh, and got me more
Yeah.
used to how real work goes.
No, I sit here as the person that did the exact same thing that you're talking about in multiple jobs. I was always like, nose to the grindstone, just like first one in, last one out, do all the bullshit you need to do, even the stuff you don't like, just do it and grit your teeth. Like, no, fuck that. That age is over. That age is done. 22-year-olds, fucking learn your fucking rights and stand up to this bullshit. You don't have to earn anything.
And it's fucked up
You have to
too. No, that just to go off that just for a minute. I didn't mean to interrupt, but like it's there's 2 points I want to make. One, if you're in a right to work state, it's a little bit harder, but you're still entitled to your breaks. And two, I can't tell you how many times I've seen students who work jobs like, well, like I've got my job and I need to take my lunch, but I don't want to take it. I should just maybe take it at my desk. Like, no. I don't want to hear any of that shit. You're taking your half-hour lunch as is dictated by law, and you're taking your 2 50-minute breaks. Go ahead and get off the clock. Like, I understand the fear, especially in the shitty economy that we're currently in, where it's like, if I don't look like I'm a team player, if I don't look like I'm working hard, I could lose my job, and then there goes my house, there goes my food, how am I going to take care of myself, my wife, my kids, I understand that. But not to the extent that you're neglecting your health, your free time, and your social life. You just can't do it. Take your breaks. You are entitled to them.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And in the middle of all of this wonderful PR that Epic has been getting lately, they purchased Psyonix, the maker of Rocket League. Thank you, Rebecca Smith, for this update. Man, so they have said that they're not going to pull Rocket League from Steam, at least not presently. We'll see future details, but not in the immediate future. But it does raise some very big questions, especially with how Epic's culture is, and with Epic owning its own game store. So, will Epic's version of Rocket League get things, even if Steam keeps Rocket League, will they get things that Steam doesn't get?
That's the question.
I mean, I certainly hope so, because we're not just talking about a game that exists solely on PC, right? Like, we're talking about a game that also is console. So I think that even if you're talking about limiting content to, like, if you're trying to talk about cutting Steam out of new content releases, I don't know. It's going to be really hard for me to find a way to justify that in the ecosystem that Rocket League already exists in.
Mhm.
Like, if they want to pull it from being sold on Steam at some point, I think it's a really dumb move. But like, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they want to do it, that's their prerogative. I mean, you already have a huge install base on Steam. I'm sure that if you wanted to make it Epic exclusive, but you totally could do that. But it's whatever.
And that's my concern
But
too, is that if they decide to release content just for people who are buying it, say for the sake of example, on the Epic Game Store, congratulations, you just fucked over a large part of your player base who are playing on Steam. So now that they can't get access to the content, do you think they're going to keep playing?
yeah, yeah, no, like it's gonna be probably one of the more harsh blows in the quote unquote war between Epic and Steam, Epic and Valve or whatever. It's a
Ay,
dumb
vey.
thing. But I will say this much. And as soon as I say that, my thought just runs out of my head. I am dumb. Okay. Come back around to me. Let me think.
Well,
Let me
I know
recapture this.
I know the people at Psyonix are so far saying, "Hey, we don't really expect this to change anything, and you shouldn't either.
Mm.
So stay on board
That's
with
what
us."
it was. That's what it was. That's what I was gonna say. Like everything coming out of Psyonix is saying that like we're still operating on our own. We're still building stuff out on our own. We don't have any edicts from Epic just yet. It's just they're giving us a ton of money.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. The deal isn't even closed yet. The deal doesn't close until the end of May. So I mean, more than likely it's going to get approved. But
It's gonna be May. No, yeah.
Yeah, and this
yeah,
could be like a Microsoft purchase, right? Like
Maybe.
when Microsoft purchased several game companies, they didn't keep them just making stuff on Xbox, like Cuphead just released on Switch. They've been pretty good about, we're going to get some of our stuff here, but we want to make sure that we diversify as well. So hopefully Epic can understand, hey, let's make sure we diversify, get our shit out there as much as we can,
Mm.
as well as build our own fucking store.
Yeah.
We can only hope. So you want to
all
move
I
on?
know.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say all I know is if Fortnite bullshit starts popping up in my Rocket League, I'm gonna be very upset. I'm gonna be a very upset boy. As someone who has sunk over 500 hours into Rocket League, do not give me that crossover. Fuck all.
But there may be like a marshmallow little thing going on there. Come on.
Nope. Nope.
Some
Nope.
concerts going on.
Keep Marshmallow over in the land of Ninja. We don't need that bullshit in our world. We got our own shit to deal with.
All right, you guys, you want to take a little break from the heavy hitters and go into some fun stuff?
Sure.
Actually, there's some odd stuff in here too, but
What? Explain this to me, please.
let's start with the big thing. Earthworm Jim is coming to a new Intellivision console.
Okay.
Okay. So, Time Heist? What the fuck is going on?
No, there's not a lot of details out yet. There's going to be a stream on Saturday where they go more in depth on this, so we'll follow up as well next week. My thought is the last I heard, the Earthworm Jim IP was in kind of a strange place. So I'm wondering if it's going to be a spiritual successor, because there's not a lot of details out yet.
It's an interesting question, but if they're, I guess my interpretation of it is if they're hyping this so much as Earthworm Jim game, it is actually going to be an Earthworm Jim game as opposed to, Emil Worm Mike or something. I don't know. Like it's going to be an actual Earthworm Jim game. That being said, the IP has sort of been all over the place, so I'm not quite sure what to expect. It's going to be interesting, but I'm also curious about the new Intellivision console. I used to own an Intellivision way back in ye day. So I'm wondering, why are you making a new console and why now, when it's especially hard to get into the market?
Well, we've mentioned that they're working on the Amico before, and then it just kind of died
Kind of
off
puttered
for a
out, yeah.
yeah. So we didn't hear anything new. Because I remember us talking about how they're planning to keep the little odd gravity pad things at the base of it, the little circular things that fucking suck in the original Intellivision. So why they're keeping that for a console that's literally going to be aimed at children? Question mark. Now, on the positives, the Amico is going to retail somewhere between $150 and $180. They haven't specified yet, but those are going to be the price averages. And games will be between $3 and $8 each.
Which,
So,
all right, I'm down with it.
yeah, cheap games, cheap console, aimed at children primarily as kind of a fun console, fun for the whole family. You're not going to see your Mortal Kombats on it, but hey, you're going to have fun on this, hopefully.
Well, if
It also
No,
should
if
come as
Earthworm
no.
Jim, it's enough.
It should also come as no surprise that the current CEO of Intellivision, Tommy Tallarico, is also one of the original composers for the Earthworm Jim series and is one of the people bringing the game back. So
Oh yeah.
that's why you're finding this on the Intellivision, I'm pretty sure.
yeah. It's
So-
Tommy Tallarico. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
I know.
You're also getting back Doug TenNapel. Doug TenNapel. Makes
The
some
creator.
good games, but what an asshole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Talking Comicsgate. Who wants to talk Comicsgate?
Oh, no, no.
And Doug Tendapal.
No,
Who
no.
wants to talk transphobia and Doug Tendapal? Who wants to do all that right now?
No.
Oh,
No.
not it. No. Doug is a piece of shit, and you have to realize he's a piece of shit. And whether or not you buy his games, I understand if you don't want to buy your Omicrogs or your Earthworm Jims because of the name associated with it. That is fine. I am currently interested, but man, even for a $150 console, Earthworm Jim is not enough to convince me to buy it. And if you're talking to, like, you don't know the number of hours I dumped into Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, if you can't convince me to buy it based on that alone, man, you've got work ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oi.
Uh,
All right. Hey, you remember things also from the 90s that are weird and confusing and just bring up strange feelings in the guttular region?
Boy, do I.
How about Sonic Hero? Woo! Sonic!
So, this just
I
dropped.
don't think that's the right song.
Blue Speed.
Well, that's not the right song
Speed
anymore.
Fly, Sonic the Hedgehog. So, just a couple of days ago, Paramount Pictures dropped the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 2019. And as you can see, it's just looking like pure shit. They've got this weird humanoid hybrid CGI model for Sonic, which frankly just looks horrendous. I mean, even if you're not a fan of the Sonic series, it's bad. It's bad. Jim Carrey is in it as Dr. Robotnik, and he actually looks... Yeah.
Keep going.
He actually looks like he's enjoying the role and he's having fun with it. So he feels very back to that Jim Carrey sort of 90s feel. He looks like he's just enjoying the role. I have no idea what's happening with the rest of the movie. It looks like hot trash. People all over the internet have already been commenting, like, WTF. There have been fan-made recreations of what a potential Sonic could look like, as opposed to this with human teeth. it's just it's indescribable, and I don't mean that in a very positive way. When I show this to my husband, we both went back and watched the 2 trailers for Detective Pikachu, just so that we could like get like a palette cleanser and go, oh, this is what CGI looks like that is done with care. It's just bad. It's bad. It's fucking bad.
Now, all of the fan recreations I have seen, honestly, if you see those like in motion, I can't imagine it being better. Those fan recreations where they make it look more like Sonic from the comics and cartoon and video game and stuff, it looks wrong and bad.
Well, I was talking about it with Squid, and my idea is that if you took even like the Sonic Boom design and you kept that CGI, and you kept that, I'm talking same exact CGI, and you put it with the live action people, that would still look a hell of a lot better than what they've come up with here, and it would make sense because Sonic could be like, I'm from another universe, I'm from another world, that's why I look like this, like it would be like, okay, that's all the explanation that you need as to why he's a cartoony CGI. Instead, it's this, like somebody brought up that it almost looks like a midget in a suit or a little kid in a suit. And it doesn't look good. Like, I don't know what the designers at Paramount were thinking. Like, this is just horrible.
Teeth.
No teeth. No teeth at all.
And
no one eats teeth ever again.
So, apparently Paramount got the message. If you look down here, you'll see the ratio of likes to dislikes. It ain't looking that great. With the first comment being, put that thing back where it came from, so help me. So, Karen Hahn over at Polygon recently wrote this article today, just a couple of hours ago. Director of Sonic the Hedgehog says he'll look different in the final cut. They've heard us. For better or worse, they have heard us.
They should have heard us 2 years ago whenever we found out this movie was being made, and no one said yes. No one said, oh, I want that.
I can absolutely promise you what happened on this was the people in the art division had certain ideas, and the people who are deciding the checks and in marketing went, I'm not sure how well this works. Like, he looks weird because he has, like, big eyes. Can you make him look more hedgehoggy? I mean, I guess we can make him look more hedgehoggy. It's not going to look great. Well, but can you do this for us? And now we've ended up with the thing where you've basically got 3 to 4 months now to re-render all of your scenes with a better-looking hedgehog mascot. And this is why we haven't seen anything up until now. I can promise you, the art people were like, no, we've got to make this look better. And they have probably been in a corporate hell, talking back and forth. Hey, what do we do to make this look better? Okay, so the people in the art department want to do this. Well, we don't really feel like this will work. So why don't you go back, watch the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie? That did pretty well, and we want you to emulate that a little bit more.
No one has ever said that ever in their life. Ever. I need you to do what the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie did.
Yeah. And it should be noted that director Jeff Fowler turned around and about 5 hours ago made a tweet with the hashtag Sonic Movie, hashtag gotta fix fast. Thank you for the support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best is on all caps, he can be. Now, this leaves a bunch of questions as to, are they going to make it more photorealistic? Are they going to make it more cartoony or more CGI to actually fit like more closely to the design of Sonic? What does this mean to the art team and all the CGI artists and animators? Like, do they have to completely redo this? There's a lot of questions, and I don't think enough answers just yet. But at least he seems to be taking the criticism and going, okay, yeah, we got it, and we're gonna do something about it.
When
It
you go into the
stinks.
movie, there's going to be a day one patch that you need to download first. That will update
The movie
graphics
has to
over
download the
time.
DLC patch, and then you'll be fine.
Oh god, no, we don't need to spread any more of these bad practices anywhere else ever.
I just,
Alright.
I want to draw a little avatar of myself holding up a thumb, just going, "It stinks," just in front of the Sonic picture. This one right here. No.
God, I do have one idea to pitch Paramount's way. What if y'all just get an actual hedgehog and just misdirect that motherfucker?
Right.
Hell yeah!
Just get a real hedgehog, put some peanut butter in its mouth so all the lips go everywhere, and then just have, like, whoever the fuck is doing the voice for the... I don't even know who's doing the voice of Sonic in this movie. I probably should look that up, but I don't care. And just have them do voiceover of just fucking Mr. Ed Porcupine.
And
Mr. Ed Hedgehog. Okay, get a porcupine! I don't care, just get something. Anything other than this.
And it should be noted, too, because we were just talking about crunch, and I touched on it in a minute, but Beth Blay in chat was like, they're just fearing the crunch that the art team is going to have to make, especially because this movie's coming out in November, or it's supposed to. So unless they're going to push back the release date, man, it's going to be a fucking just complete shit show for the art team. Like, it's going to be awful.
Yeah, you're not wrong there.
It's going to be super bad. But speaking of something else that was kind of super bad and kind of just like that gif of that dude tilting his head with 20,000 question marks, in the trailer they used a remix version of Coolio's Gangster Paradise. Now, for those of you who don't know, Gangsta's Paradise was a song about somebody who was living in the ghetto and whether or not he's going to survive this life of violence and poverty and trouble and heartache. And they use that in the Sonic trailer because clearly, to rip off of Andre Black Nerd, the struggle is the same between that and Sonic fighting Robotnik. But Coolio himself actually had something to say about it.
Not sure if this is going to be good, but I definitely appreciate it. Hashtag Coolio, hashtag Gangsta Paradise, hashtag hip hop, hashtag legend, hashtag love my life, hashtag Compton, hashtag rap, at Sonic the Hedgehog, at Jim Carrey here, at Paramount Picks, hashtag Sonic the Hedgehog, hashtag movie, hashtag Sonic movie. Bless you, Coolio. Bless you.
I'm glad he's okay. Like, because I remember watching the trailer and me talking to Slacker Heighton, and he was just like, "Is Coolio okay? Is he alright? Does he need a hug? Does he need help?"
Coolio's fine. He cashed the check and went out and got himself a nice pizza. He's fine. He's happy.
He's good. He's doing alright.
You know, he's having a chili dog right now just to bask in the irony.
He went to Sonic for a chili dog. Oh, man. So speaking of hot takes and hot spices, do we want to talk about the that sick Kickstarter game that just...
That Kickstarter that I gave $2 whole American dollars to?
I can't even believe you.
I gave
Mass Effect.
I gave $2.
Mass Effect.
Bullshit. $2 million in total made for Subverse, coming out of a porn parody studio. 1.5 million pounds to make a sci-fi RPG with some shmups and interactive waifu simulation. Oh.
Thanks, I hate it.
I can't wait to play this with my door closed and then come back and tell you guys how wonderful this game is.
God damn it.
They made $2 million despite being banned in China.
Well, that's no surprise.
Oh, this game's gonna be such a fucking wreck. I love it.
Cool, great, awesome.
At least the writing for the trailers was on fucking good, fucking hilarious trailers. A+.
Oh, there we go. That's the name. I was like, I remember good old William Dildo Fingers. I had to find that one again. that old
Ah,
chestnut.
yes, William Dildo Fingers. My name is
Of
the Nude
Essex
Knight.
Dildo Fingers.
Oh.
Of the Cambridge Dildo Fingers.
We are old money. We come from a long line of dildo fingers.
New sex toys, old money.
Jesus.
Yeah, it could
I mean-
be fine. I've maybe did some research on their
Is that what you
history.
call it?
Research, and
Mhm.
their stuff is mostly fine. There's some
Research.
questionable content in there, but mostly fine.
The shape of the boobs. It's just... What the fuck? I gotta play some of this for the people who are watching instead of listening, because this is just...
Oh, I'm
It's
turning
something.
my Steam account offline when I play this. This is
All of your friends are gonna get notifications that you're playing Sex Effect, and it's just gonna be like amazing.
God damn it. There's a spaceship shaped like a butt. No one tell Hollis.
He's gonna find out. He's gonna find out one way or another. I'm
Well,
surprised.
he'll wake up in the middle of the night while I'm playing this and be like, "There's butts." Travis, what did you tell me about butts?
He's gonna come into your room at like 4:30 in the morning and be like, "There's a spaceship that's shaped like a butt."
You want to talk about Microsoft a minute?
1 second, before we do that, I just have to point out there's a stretch goal that was met called Squid Girl, and that's all I'm gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave it right there. You can go read about Squid Girl if you want. It seems real dumb, but also I want to be the master of the tentacle girls. That's the Casanova of the tentacle girls.
I want to be the very best, like no porn ever was.
God damn it! These boob physics are just stupid. This whole thing is stupid. I'm glad they're leaning into the stupid, but Jesus, this is stupid. Also, how do you not just get away with just like straight up copying everything about Mass Effect? This is straight up lifting Mass Effect.
I know.
And just putting more boobs in it. It's so dumb.
I don't
Anyway.
know. I don't know. Like, I just, you sit and you talk about media representation and why it's important and why, like nigh exploitation of shit is just, it's not cool. I know this is being done for yucks. I know. Like, I'm not gonna be all high horse about it or anything. It's whatever, but it's just like, come on. Come on. If you're gonna fucking shape a tit, at least shape it right. Look at this.
Yeah, Kinashir, I think they're leading into the idea that this is a little bit silly bullshit.
Right, Beth, right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna close this tab now. I'm just gonna close the tab.
So, Microsoft has updated their community standards for Xbox. And normally this wouldn't be much of a story, but they've now put out some list of what is acceptable trash talk. Let's go over a few. Get destroyed, can't believe you thought you were on my level. That was serious potato aim, get wrecked. Only reason you went positive was you spent all day camping. Try again, kid. Cheap win, come at me when you can actually drive without running cars off the road. That sucked, get good, and then come back when your KD's over 1.
I like that they spelled wrecked correctly when no one ever spells it correctly on the internet ever.
Hey, you know what, Brian? Hey, profanity. There was some serious potato aim.
I am profane man. What's the acceptable? Okay, sorry. Here's acceptable trash talk. I need to find. Let's see. Okay, yes, potato aim. That works, I guess. still, what the? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. None of these fit my vernacular. None of them do.
Get good, then come back when your KG's over 1. Gonna hold up my finger to my forehead in the shape of an L. Like,
Alright, so maybe I can get behind. The only reason you went positive was you spent all game camping. Try again, kid. If
okay, that's honestly, yeah.
If that's the alternative to fucking, like, yo, your KD's fucking shitty, dumb lord, like, fuck it all.
Although there are some people who, when you play multiplayer games like Call of Duty, whatever, be like, "Look at your fucking KD." It's like, who cares? Who cares? Although, like, it's sad that in the year 2019 Common Era, that Microsoft, a large corporation that's out to make as much money as possible, has to explicitly tell you, hey, maybe don't say racial slurs and sexual threats to get your point across.
Yeah, maybe don't say xenophobic shit to your teammates or racial slurs. That you have to come out explicitly and say that.
Or tell them to kill themselves, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bless you, Microsoft. Bless you for being wholesome.
That's a word.
And our last story.
It's good to Oh, sorry. I was gonna say it's good to see that they're actually engaging in community management now.
After, let me look at my watch here. 15 years?
Took a while.
Mm-hmm. Get on that Udi tip. Anyway.
Yeah, real quick, just suggesting something that's in chat. Like, if you're mad or something, be like, oh man, fuck you. Like, I think it's okay to be like, fuck, or say something like that. But if you say, for example, the N-word, or call a woman the C-word, that's not, like, a fit of anger thing. It's not like, fuck, man, I can't fucking believe this. It's, legit bullshit, and you need to stop.
Yeah, asking someone to politely kill themselves after you've lost a game, maybe not great tactics. Just
No.
I do have one to add to the list that I would like to submit to Microsoft for their preferred
Submit to the court.
insults or trash talk. Yes. Why you guys would fuck me on this is beyond me. ... Thanks a lot. ... That is not mine. I am not claiming to own that one. That is one Randy Pitchford on Twitter. Let's just put the Randy Pitchford meme tweet into the lexicon and divorce it of him because he is terrible.
All right. Thank you, Merowyn, for pointing this one out to it. Friend of the show, been on the cast before. Razer's making a fucking toaster because why the fuck not?
I mean, can you heat it up with the CPU that's running at like 3000 Kelvin? Because that would be impressive.
No, but you can get some RVG glow lights going on while you make a toast in your fucking kitchen. Okay. Look at that fucking product picture. That's all I have is that mock-up. So beautiful.
People got tattoos to bring this to life.
Mm-hmm.
What? That is. That's all. Just people. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this. This is real stupid.
Oh, it's super fucking stupid.
I mean, I'm all for stupid, dumb bullshit, especially when it comes to like underglow toast making. But it's the Fast and the Furious of toasters.
But hey, it's an April Fool's gag. Unless you guys like and comment enough, and then we'll actually make it.
Do not set that precedent for anything ever. Ever.
I mean, we already got a Garrus body pillow, so what the fuck, right?
Don't tell me I live my life.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Give us the Razer toaster.
All right.
You know what? Somebody's gonna buy it.
Of course.
Somebody's gonna buy it, and I'm gonna have to read about it on CNET. They're gonna review it, and that's gonna be the extent of my engagement with this, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
All right, let's get back into serious biz, shall we?
Yeah, let's go into the last section, let's say, of the show tonight. Is we're going to talk about some developers and the things they do, and we're starting with a good one because let's get into this gradually. Apex Legend has officially said "fuck you" to Krunchtime. They've come out and said we're not going to come out with weekly updates, and we have seasonal plans that we're going to continue to do to update our games, and we don't want to drain our people dry, and we don't have time to hire that many new people. So enjoy our game, please.
Which is fantastic. I mean, I know Apex Legends is under the auspices of EA, so I'm not holding my breath that this is going to be a long-term thing. Although I hope it is, because if it just takes one company, I think, for them to go, we're not doing this anymore. Our human beings working for us need to be treated like employees that have their own lives. So I think if one company can do that, maybe the rest will follow. I don't mean to sound naive and try to but I'm hoping that that's the case, and I think this is a great step.
No, it definitely is, and I think it does set a precedent. I mean, it's not. Of course, like you're going to get some really good buzz being the one studio that's not getting just lambasted for labor practices in a sea where everybody on a weekly basis, somebody new is getting an expose done about them.
Yeah.
In terms of exploitative practices,
Mm-hmm.
but I will say this: like there hasn't been a. I'm taking this at Vince Zampella face value right here because like, it is a great story. I'm very happy to hear at least that they do take that into account and that they are taking steps to make sure that their developers are not burnt out like other studios. There also has not been a lot of extensive reporting to make sure that those claims are true. So I commend him for saying as such and purporting as such. I would hope that that is 100% all the way there, but honestly, in today's climate, it's hard to believe when someone says that they are like all about making sure that their workers are treated fairly. Um, that being said, though, just because I have the doubt doesn't mean that I don't absolutely love the story and love the fact that they are taking a better approach to supporting Apex than Epic is to supporting their battle royale games as a service free to play game. I mean, especially considering Apex is so very good, and they took a shellacking from the public, from their fan base for their season pass, like the complete lack of content that was in it. Me included. Like honestly, I don't normally care that much about season passes, but like even I was looking at them like, yeah, there's really that much in here. You introduced one character. You brought one character out, which is perfectly fine. You don't need a ton of characters in that game. But the criticisms were warranted. But at the same time, if it means that I don't get a ton of new stuff like on a weekly basis, if I can exchange that for having people work a 40-hour work week, have good work-life balance, have stability in their job to the point where they're not having mental breakdowns on a quarterly basis, then you know what, I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty good with that.
Yeah.
Agree with all of that. So let's go a little deeper now into NetherRealm Studios, who a little bit less good, and people who formerly worked on NetherRealm games, primarily Mortal Kombat 9, a lot of them, have come to say some wonderful things. Things along the lines of, I hardly sleep, I'm grumpy at home, I have no energy to go out, getting a weekend away from work is a major achievement, if I take a Saturday off, I feel guilty. I'm not being forced to work this way, but if I don't, then the job won't get done. It's been 8 years, and they've made it clear to me that I'm persona non grata there anyway, so fuck it. Working at NetherRealms on Mortal Kombat 9 nearly killed me. I didn't sleep more than 4 hours for 4 months, from January to April 2011. I was at work more than half of the time, from Jiminy Snackmouth on Twitter, one of the people who worked on Mortal Kombat 9 for 2 years.
And I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can link this into chat if you want to read it for yourself.
Yeah, the developer's name is James Longstreet. Also, just his funny his funny Twitter name aside, like his actual name is James Longstreet, and yeah, he's the one that really broke this out, and it's really gross.
Yeah, he hasn't been the only one. If you hear one person complaining about it, it's one thing, but it continues on, and it's not just work hours. We brought up the harassment, the bathroom issue, the secret nicknames the dev had for all the female employees, the lack of women who actually had full-time jobs, the singling out that we experienced, etc., etc. It took a year for the EEOC to decide that apparently nothing bad had happened. On top of it all, NRS insulted my coworker and me, telling us we were misremembering everything and taking personal jabs at our skills.
Yeah. God.
Oh, and how about this from Beck Please, Beck Hall Stead T. I and most of the contractors, some of the most talented junior level workers that games have to offer, worked at $12 an hour to work on a AAA game. Unless you were a woman like me, we got $11 an hour.
Yeah. Fucking bullshit. Such garbage. That was confirmed actually by another QA analyst, Rebecca Rothschild. I think the quote was, "I worked as a contractor at NetherRealm Studios and can confirm everything Beck Hall said." I was like, "Nah."
And it's gregarious too, because like, for all the amazing strides just in this little example that women have made to try to earn respect in the industry, from Roberta Williams all the way to like Tanya DePaz and Patricia Hernandez, etc. We're still getting the shit end of the stick. It's still an extremely male-dominated field, and the fact that you're getting paid $1 or less, probably, if you are a POC and a woman, like, what else do we have to do to prove ourselves in this fucking industry? This is ridiculous. And that's not even talking about the 80 to 100 hour weeks. That's just being a woman in this industry. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and NetherRealm hasn't made a single response to it whatsoever. They haven't even given a, we had these issues before, but we've been working on it through the years. Oh. No, they haven't even bothered to do that.
No, they've been too busy trying to put out the fire. I don't know if they're actually doing this, but I just know that there's a whole big old fire around Ronda Rousey's involvement in that game now. So they got shit coming around from a bunch of different sides. Yeah. One more quote from this article, though, that I really wanted to point out was from another former QA analyst who actually requested to be quoted anonymously. They said this, talking about that the 12-hour hourly or $12 an hour wage that they were paid reportedly. I managed to get by for a while, but it got to a point where I had to put my student loans on hold. If it wasn't for the money made during crunch, I'd likely have had to settle for a different job and industry, which was something I didn't want to do because this is what I had just finished school for and had a passion for. I didn't want to throw all away, even though I probably should have thought differently. And the worst thing is that, like, the 100-hour work weeks for the QA team, they weren't efficient. Like, a lot of the times they were just waiting. They were just waiting for something to do. So they'd just be hanging out at the studio. So, like, another case of horrible mismanagement.
It's shameful that this industry handles its employees in such a inhuman way. You can't live off these wages. and the fact that you had to do crunch in order to survive. What kind of industry is this? And like I said, this all goes back to taking advantage of the fact that you can say, hey, I work in the video game industry. I make video games for a living. I'm not just tightening up the graphics. I'm actually making video games, right? Like, people want that. And you can't tell me that these developers and these publishers don't profit off that in more ways than one.
Oh, but let's get into the worst of the offenders from this week. Good old Riot Games, makers of League of Legends. Back at it again with their bullshit. We've talked about them before in their multiple lawsuits. So, Riot has now filed a motion to force these women into private arbitration rather than going in front of a jury to arbitrate the sexual harassment lawsuits that are out there against Riot Games. And employees are pretty furious. They're planning a staged walkout at this point. Now it's questionable how many people are actually going to walk out. It's scheduled for next week, Monday, May the 6th. How many people will actually do the walkout, we're not sure yet. And there has been a response from Riot. Where is it?
Shrug?
At the very end of the article. Well, it was in the article.
Yeah, I know this was in here. Wow. This was in here. I know it was. Oh, here it is. We're proud of our colleagues for standing up for what they believe in. We always want rioters to have the opportunity to be heard, so we're sitting down today to listen to their opinions and learn more about their perspectives on arbitration. We will also be discussing the topic at our bi-weekly all-company town hall on Thursday. Both are important forums to us to discuss our current policy and listen to feedback, which are important parts of evaluating all of our procedures and policies, including those related to arbitration.
Sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, how did you not know that people were going to be mad at you for going into forced arbitration? Because people don't get as much out of arbitration, and as well,
No, of course they
hide
don't.
your shady bullshit when you go into arbitration because nothing gets out there. There's no public end to that. But no, they're saying that because these people signed off their rights when they were hired, that they have to go into arbitration, and they have no other means to go around this other than through these channels.
Hello?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I cut out there for a second again.
Yeah, if you need a reason not to fucking support League of Legends, I know they're saying that they're trying to turn around and be better, but fuck off. I've read too much shit about this company. I can give a little bit of maybe some room for NetherRealm's bullshit, but this is fucking ridiculous.
And that's how they get you too. Because a lot of people won't thoroughly read contracts that they're offered. So when you try to do something like this, you'd be like, well, in the contract that you signed to be an employee, you got to do arbitration instead of suing us, so get fucked. And it's just yet another way that corporations fuck people over. And it's
Oh, I've been forced to sign non-compete agreements before. It's fucking bullshit. It's, hey, you want to work in this industry again for at least another year between when you leave the company and join your next company in this area. Yeah, bullshit. No, people don't do that. They don't just work a year fucking ringing up bullshit and then coming back into their planned jobs.
right.
Non-compete is bullshit and it hurts and it kills everyone, and these fucking contracts that they make people sign, especially in the tech industry when you come on, is crazy.
So I was trying to find there was a communication leaked by Riot's chief diversity officer that I was trying to find real quick.
That's a fucking laugh. But yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah,
just the title.
I found it. I was trying to find the woman's name.
Chief
Angela Roseborough. There we go. Okay, Angela Roseborough, the chief diversity officer at Riot. Whenever rumors of the walkout started piping up at the beginning of this week, this was her response in a Slack message that was acquired by Patrick Klepek over at Waypoint. Shout out to them. They were on the ground floor of this thing. Hi, Riders. I've been off campus for most of yesterday afternoon in meetings and have spent my evening reviewing and absorbing everything you've shared. I feel it's important to address your concerns this morning rather than wait until Monday. I know yesterday's article about Riot's motion to compel arbitration feels like we're not moving forward. And I have to say, for me, it demonstrates we still have work to do. There are pros, cons, and nuances to the discussion of arbitration. Fuck that, especially given the active litigation against Riot. It can be complex, and these types of topics are best discussed live where it's easier to have a conversation. I encourage all of you to ask as many questions in this Thursday's Unplugged, and our promise to you is we will be transparent as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
We're also aware there may be an upcoming walkout and recognize some rioters are not feeling heard. We want to open up a dialogue on Monday and invite rioters to join us for small group sessions where we can talk through your concerns and provide as much context as we can about where we've landed and why. If you're interested, please take a moment to add your name to the spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just housekeeping. We are committed to re-earning your trust by having an open and transparent dialogue and doing the right thing by all of our rioters. Personally, I completely understand how this may feel like a setback, but my hope is that through this storm, we will be a better version of ourselves. Hope to see you on Monday. I'm just going to go ahead and put this out here right now. Having their small meetings was immediately called bullshit by a lot of the female workers at Riot because they were under the impression that they would have a large-scale, fully transparent meeting with the majority of the staff and the higher-ups.
I was just going to mention that. Like, why would you do small meetings? Why wouldn't you do just a larger meeting so that everybody can be included and have their grievances heard, number one. Number two, this has nothing really to do with it, but can we just the corporate language being used, like we're going to have a dialogue and we'll circle back around to that and put that on the table and make sure that we come back around to it and talk to the higher up. Like, give me fucking plain language here. Whether you give a shit about what we're saying or you don't. And it sounds like you don't. Because through all the corporate nonsense that they're saying and all the nonsense that they're spewing in this article, it's clear that if they actually wanted to address some of these concerns, they would have done so in a manner that would have not led it to get to this point. And they haven't.
No. And honestly, the one line that sticks out to me is there are pros, cons, and nuances to the discussion of arbitration.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but you don't get to tell me that there are good and bad sides to arbitration whenever it has been systemically proven over a copious amount of time that forced arbitration from corporate contracts increasingly has a weighted advantage towards the corporation and not the employee.
Of course, that's by nature of arbitration.
Exactly. So you're not going to sway anybody's opinion by saying, "Well, there's good and bad things associated." No, there's not. It's mostly bad. It's proportionately bad. So I'm like, it's clear corporate side speak with that crap.
So TLDR, the games industry is no better than any other corporate 9-to-5 job. Don't kid yourselves. If you want to work in the industry, that's fine. But keep in mind that this is the realities of working in this industry in 2019.
It doesn't have to be.
No, of course it doesn't. We could change this. You know, there's talk for unionization. There's talk for having better rights for employees. But as of right now, it's a pure shit show.
No, I completely agree with that.
All right, let's get into the last article of the day from Nathan Grayson over at Kotaku.
This is the first I'm hearing about this, and I'm extremely upset because I used to love this game.
Same, it's really... it's a bizarre scenario for everyone involved. So, City of Heroes, if you're not aware, was an MMO that was shut down in 2012 as part of a realignment. It was basically an MMO where you could play as a hero or a villain, and you would get into clashes. And there was a lot of very interesting things, and it's a shame that it didn't make it into the current day Marvel world where superheroes are way more interesting. But to make a long story short, some people were able to reverse engineer it and made a server relatively quietly where people could continue to play City of Heroes amongst themselves. Had several thousand people that would just play on the server. It was invite only. However, somebody made a video of the goings on, and people suddenly flipped like, "Hey, how come you didn't tell people on the wide?" And it was, well, we've been kind of nervous about doing that. So first they put out the code to make this, which is difficult at best. And then they took down the server for a bit, and then they put back up the server, and now people are saying that the project lead is transphobic. uh, there's a lot of weird to digest in here.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack. Um, City of Heroes was a game that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm not one for MMOs. Like, I've played WoW for a long time, sort of on and off. But when City of Heroes came out, like, I'm no big fan of superhero genres or comics or anything, but I had so much fun with this game. And when they said that the game was going to be shut down, I was honestly like a little heartbroken, because I was really attached to my character and the plot, and growing your character and seeing them improve as you leveled up, and you gained more powers, and you could like write a backstory about, like, it was really cool. So seeing that there was a server that's been like hidden all this time is kind of sad, but I also get it, because litigation is a thing, and you don't want to get into that. But I mean, everything else that's been revealed, I'm just learning about this now. This is why I'm kind of like, uh I haven't heard about the transphobic thing, so that's news to me. Um Although it does say that the Titan Network, a long-running group of City of Heroes fan sites, now claims to be in talks with NCSoft about a community-run server, which would be pretty fucking cool. But I don't want to gloss over the transphobic thing. Does anybody have more information about that?
Uh,
I I don't at the moment. I'm trying to find something.
yeah, they've got some Imgur screenshots. It's linked in the article. Let's see. It's a little bit difficult from just going through screenshots, but yeah, there's you're gonna have to go through some interesting deep dives to really get in on that.
Mm.
I'll link at least to some of the screenshots out there. Now, these are a little bit more general, and you can take out of these what you will, really.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, nope. I got it. I got it right here. Nope.
Oh,
Yep. Yep.
you
Nope.
you
Nope.
do you
Jesus.
want to read it? Or is it that bad?
It's.
Uh,
I mean, it's not that bad. It's just real shitty. It's not like there's no like transphobic language in it per se, like slurs or anything like that. I'll just give it a small taste. Um, the notion that I turned them down because they were openly transsexual is true. There's no other way around it. I did it because they announced they were transsexual almost immediately upon introduction, which shows they believe it is important in the role they were volunteering for. This could be called a red flag. So, I mean, yeah.
Yikes. Fucking yikes.
Oh, no wonder people ran away from the Discord.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, so there's a lot of odd going on there, to say the least. So it's a really weird, long story. I'm going to post it in the Discord because, or in the Discord, in the Twitch chat
In chat.
because man, this goes some really weird sideways directions. If you get a chance, read it over because man,
and we just don't have enough time to cover it tonight. But it's a story. Like I was just catching up on it. Like I said before the show started tonight, and I was like, "What is this?" And it just goes on and on.
Mm-hmm. The important thing to come out of this is like apparently there is some work being put into bringing back a community server for this game.
Yeah.
So
which that would be so fucking cool. I don't have my old account anymore. I don't know how I'd be able to get it, but
supposedly like a lot of the I don't know if they saved every account, but like a lot of the stuff stored on servers is supposedly being handed down from NCSoft if a community run server is put up. So there's a possibility your account might still be there.
Oh man, I don't remember my shit though. Oh well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, so do we want to start wrapping up? It's been up and down tonight. I think like we've had some chuckles, we had some goofs, and then we had some rage.
But we
As
do always end with the Mr. Video Game Award, where we give somebody the label of Mr. Video Game. Somebody who has done something amazing or terrible, great, awful, it doesn't matter. Something that has, just defined.
That really makes them stand out. That really makes you want to do the chef's kiss.
Oh, and it's just so video games is a thing. And today's Mr. Video Games is Microsoft themselves, because they are holding a 10 years of Minecraft conference, and they have said fuck off, and they do not want Notch to come in. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I want this as like a candy that I can eat and like digest the flavors of this. That his comments, our opinions, do not reflect those of Microsoft or Mojang and are not representative of Minecraft.
And it's worth noting that the article goes on to continue that Microsoft has picked up where Notch has left off and has made Minecraft. And you don't need me to tell you this, but it's a family-friendly game that pretty much anybody can pick up and play. But Marcus Pearson, aka Notch, has been known to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's an asshole. So he's been making tweets and other comments that are transphobic, that are sexist, that are very heavily QAnon conspiracy theory based. The guy's a schmuck. So Microsoft removing any and all references to him is both hilarious and justifying. This is the only time that I will give Microsoft like legitimate applause, not ironic or sarcastic, but legitimate I approve you corporate entity, because of what Notch has done in the past. So Notch, thanks for the idea, but you can go fuck yourself.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the few things that all of us here at Mr. Video Games can completely 100% agree upon is Notch can just royally go get fucked for all we care. I would love it if we could never talk about this man again, but it makes me happy that he's getting fucking dunked on and will no longer be remembered for the game that he made.
Yeah. 2 fingers and a pineapple. Right up there. Can I throw one real quick shout out for what was going to be our Mr. VG last week?
Oh yeah, what was the Mr. Video Games for last week? I didn't look at that.
So I threw this one out there. Basically, my Mr. VG is going to be Jax because in his non-canon tower ending for Mortal Kombat 11, motherfucker goes back in time and prevents the transatlantic slave trade from happening.
Oh, and people, wait. And people were complaining and calling that, I shit you not, black supremacy. I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done.
Oh, totally, yeah. Internet was, like, parts of the internet were being real shitty about it, but, it doesn't matter. Motherfucking Jax ended slavery.
I'm
done with it.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up the damn... Here we go. Here it is.
It's so good.
Black I can't.
People be shitty. They're not going to ruin this good thing for me.
Hell yeah.
Yes, it's very good. Sorry, I just had to get that one in there.
No, it was great because I almost forgot about it myself, to be honest.
But then...
Yeah.
That does it for Mr. Video Games for this week. We've had a good time here. I'm so glad we had this time together. Joan, you got any final words for this evening?
Thanks everybody who came out. It's always a blast having seeing you guys in chat and seeing a conversation. We can't address every single thing because we'd be here all night if that was the case. But it's definitely a blast seeing you guys talk amongst each other and add in some points to our conversation. On a less serious note, I'm gonna have a conniption if I don't get any information on Animal Crossing Switch. Nintendo needs to move your ass. Come on, let's go. Come on, today.
It's only a month until E3. It's only a month till E3.
Yeah, you'll probably hear something in a month.
Judge Judy gif. Looking at my watch. Come on, let's go.
Brian, any final words this evening?
Should I shamelessly plug all my bullshit? Or should I be stupid?
Hell yeah. I am very proud of this boy for getting yet another good job.
Okay,
good job,
so I will go, if you want to read any of my fun stuff, I wrote a very apparently interesting, according to the comment sections, piece on how Disney created their own Star Wars problem over the superhero hype this week. Also, I make my debut in Unwinnable, their exploits magazine, talking about Kofi Kingston and probably the best cultural moment for Black pro wrestling ever. Over in that, you can pick that up at shop.unwinnable.com, issue number 14. And then I am going to be contributing to outsports.com, a website focused on highlighting queer stories in the world of sports. And so I'm very excited about that. Expect to definitely see some esports stuff coming from me over there in some time. So yeah, full plate. Also, big old Dumbo. Always big old Dumbo. That's me.
But also want to thank our chatters who came along today: Beth Blay, Eris, Real Pikachu Gamer, John Borg, and showing up late, Dustin, and of course the rest of the Dead Sun community. Thank everyone who has shown up, talked today. Oh, Kishner Plays as well, let's not forget them. Everyone who comes along has had fun with us today. This has been a fucking great episode. Thanks everyone for coming. Fuck yeah.
Okay, you ready? We gotta do one more thing before we go.
Oh, what's that?
God.
Teeth. Teeth.
Teeth.
Teeth.
Teeth.
Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Teeth. Good night, everybody.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. All right. That's my contribution.